got some breaking news, Vikings fans, as the Vikings won't put the franchise tag on cornerback Byron Murphy Jr., and it leaves the door open for them to franchise tag Sam Darnold. So we're going to break that down on today's show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and we got some breaking news to discuss for you guys coming up on today's show, and that's exactly why you guys should go down there and hit that subscribe button, because no matter what me or producer Dylan are doing throughout our day, once we get breaking news around the Minnesota Vikings, we will drop everything we're doing and get you guys a video ASAP. So if you guys want to stay up to date around the latest on your Minnesota Vikings, go down there, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. So this was tweeted out by Dan Graziano of ESPN, and a bit of a shocker because Kevin Seifert earlier today was saying he thinks it's likely that the Vikings put the franchise tag on Byron Murphy, but Graziano tweeted this out saying, per league source, the Vikings and cornerback Byron Murphy had agreed to push back the void date on his contract. Originally, the deal voided 23 days prior to the start of the league year, so either today or tomorrow. Now, it's the day before the start of the league year, which means Murphy cannot be franchised since that date is past the deadline for teams to use the franchise tag. But interestingly, they did not reach the same agreement with quarterback Sam Darnold, whose contract still voids 23 days before the start of the league year if they don't do a new deal with Darnold before the contract voids. Then $5 million in remaining signing bonus proration would accelerate onto the 2025 salary cap as dead money for Sam Darnold. But the upshot here, they can still franchise Darnold, but can't franchise Murphy or Aaron Jones, who also pushed his void date back. And I'll tell you what, this is completely shocking to me because I was fully prepared. Even though some people thought it didn't make sense for them to put the tag on Byron Murphy, I thought for the Viking side of things, you put the tag on him, you can still talk about an extension before the free agency starts, and you can hopefully get a long-term deal done. But I do think this most likely means that the Vikings will extend Byron Murphy Jr. I think they view him as a long-term piece in the secondary for Minnesota. He's already familiar with what Brian Flores likes to do. Had that breakout year last season with the 6 interceptions, 5 of those coming in the fourth quarter. So I still think it's likely that Murphy gets extended. But this also leaves the door open to another team saying, hey, Vikings, you don't want to pay Byron Murphy $20, $21, $22 million per year. We'll pay him that. And if the Vikes are only willing to go up to like 17, 18 million, then it's just a decision time for Murphy on where he wants to go. So the dead money right now for Darnold and Byron Murphy, it would have been $5 million for Darnold and $4.2 for Byron Murphy Jr. But since they pushed that date back, that actually cleans the slate for Byron Murphy's dead money for next season. So an extra $4.2 million for the Vikings heading into free agency, but they will be locked into that Sam Darnold dead money unless they get a contract extension done, and I still feel like that's extremely unlikely. But Kevin Seifert quote tweeted Dan Graziano's tweet saying this: Vikings executed the same procedural move with cornerback Byron Murphy as they did with Aaron Jones, per Dan. Big upshot here, though, no franchise tag for Murphy. He has a clear path to free agency if he wants, and I expect Murphy to do so just to go see what the open market's offering him. A lot of cornerback needy teams in the NFL during this cycle. So I think he's going to go out there and get at least multiple offers, and it's just come down to the Vikings if they want to pay him upwards of $20 million. But then somebody asked Kevin, does this lock in Byron Murphy Jr. and Aaron Jones to return next season? And Kevin had this to say. He said, not necessarily. They did this with Dalvin Tomlinson in 2023 and Marcus Davenport in 2024, and both players moved on. As for Sam Darnold, he remains eligible for the franchise tag. So obviously it doesn't mean that, hey, 100% Aaron Jones, Byron Murphy, they're going to be back in the purple and gold. But it does leave the door open for them to possibly leave during free agency. But still, I think with them pushing this void date back, I would assume Aaron Jones and Byron Murphy are back in the purple and gold next season. But it is not 100% by any means. But I don't want everybody freaking out because I can already see some people saying, well, if we're not franchise tagging Byron Murphy, we're probably going to franchise tag Sam Darnold. This does not mean 100% that they will tag Darnold, but it definitely means there is a chance out there. Now, what if the Vikings this literally could have happened earlier today, where maybe they were getting a couple calls from, let's just say like the Raiders, the Giants, the Colts, and the Steelers, some of the top Sam Darnold destinations out there. What if they said, hey, we would be down to, perform a tag and trade because we don't want to kind of battle it out for Sam Darnold in free agency. So maybe the Vikings have a trade already talked about behind the scenes, but this definitely adds some juice to the whole Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy conversation, like who will be QB1 next season. I think probably 85-90% of us all want number 9 under center for the purple and gold, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So you guys predict it for me, not who you want to be QB1 next season, but who will be QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings. Give me a 14 for Sam Darnold and give me a 9 for J.J. McCarthy. Now coming up next year on the show, we're just going to dive more into the Sam Darnold side of things and how they could perform a tag and trade. But before we do so, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Now, if you guys download the PrizePicks app today and plug in that promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today, plug in promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, PrizePicks is the #1 place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. And if you guys want to make a Timberwolves or Wild game more interesting during the second half of their seasons, make sure you guys create a PrizePicks lineup. You guys can follow it throughout the entire event. Even if the game's a blowout, it's still a lot of fun to follow along your PrizePicks lineup. So download the PrizePicks app today, plug in promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. Run your game. All right, I want to throw you guys 2 important numbers here in terms of the QB franchise tag numbers. So this was just put out there earlier today. Not confirmed just yet, but they will be in the ballpark of these 2 figures. So the non-exclusive franchise tag, the franchise tag we all know and love, $41.32 million. But an interesting tag the Vikings could place on Darnold would be the transition tag. Now, if you guys don't know what it is, here's it's explained here shortly. So the transition tag is similar to the non-exclusive franchise tag. It allows the original team to match any offer sheet signed by the departing player. What are the major differences between the transition tag and the non-exclusive franchise tag? The transition tag is slightly cheaper as the value is locked in as the average salary of the top 10 players at the position compared to the top 5 for the non-exclusive tag. Additionally, if a player leaves a team after signing the transition tag, the club does not receive compensation for his services. Now, even though that would be a negative for the Vikings, you wouldn't be able to get any comp picks if you do tag Darnold and he ends up leaving in free agency. I do think the transition tag seems like the more likely option here. And, it also could be a situation where the Vikings, it's not reported that they placed the transition tag on him, but it could be just a handshake agreement where they're like, hey, Sam, you go test the open market. Come back to us with whatever offer you get, and then we'll make a decision if we want to bring you back. Because I still firmly believe if Sam Darnold had to pick where he wants to play football next season, it's 110% with the Minnesota Vikings. The only team that he has had any real success with in the NFL. You got great weapons. You got a great coaching staff around him. I bet you Darnold wants to be back in the purple and gold. So maybe they have some sort of an agreement where it's like, hey, Sam, you go test free agency, you go see what offers out there, and then we'll get back to you if we do want to, complete that trade. But also, I do want to go back in time and look at a Carson Wentz trade, just because it was hard to find a lot of, quarterbacks who would have the same amount of, draft or same amount of just value as Sam Darnold. But this was probably the most likely one to go off of. The Eagles received back in 2021 a 3rd-round pick and a 2022 2nd-round pick, and that's when they traded Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts. So it gets me this. I find it hard to believe that the Vikings can't tag and trade Darnold. Like, I would assume with a lot of these teams, and it only being a 2-quarterback draft necessarily, with both of those guys likely to go in the top 5, at worst the top 6, and not a lot of other good free agent options at the quarterback position. Like, the second best name out there is probably Justin Fields or Russell Wilson or even a guy like Aaron Rodgers. But I find it very hard to believe that the Vikings wouldn't be able to tag and trade Darnold, because you will have many teams, a lot of them want Stafford, but let's just say Stafford goes to the New York Giants and the Rams need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. The Steelers, the Colts, and even the Jets. What if those 5 teams get in a bidding war for Darnold and then the Vikings place a tag on him and they just say, hey, what if we just go give you an extra 3rd-round pick, and then they can perform that tag and trade? So I find it very hard to believe that the Vikings can't get a tag and trade done. But again, don't freak out if they do put the tag on Darnold. I still fully believe it's J.J. McCarthy's team. And again, this was definitely a shocker on today's breaking news around the Minnesota Vikings. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just give me a skull down below in the comment section. Let me know where all the real ones are at. Make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day. And we'll see you guys later. First off, friendly reminder, also hit that subscribe button. Lock us in. Do not miss a thing around your Minnesota Vikings. And also, I am on Twitter. @PatSieps is the Twitter handle. But give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back. See you guys later. Skol Vikes.